Why Not? A queer podcast.
Thank you to our sponsor, Pineapple Healthcare, an award-winning primary care clinic right here in Orlando.
Pineapple Healthcare offers mental health counseling, HIV, STI testing and treatment, and specializes in care for the LGBTQ plus community.
Open Monday through Saturday. Call today at 407-553-6336 and schedule your appointment.
Pineapple Healthcare. Better together.
Hi, everybody. I'm Rick Todd.
And I'm Jeremy Williams, and you're listening to Wine,
Why Not? A queer podcast.
Episode 92.
Episode 92. I just thought it would be good in round.
Are you reiterating, or were you mocking me?
No, I wanted it to be in round.
Don't you sound so
I almost
cheery.
changed all this up. My notes are going to be like, we're both going to be like, hi, everybody, hi.
Oh my God, 92. Oh my God.
There's a podcast I listened to in the beginning of it. They all start off with, hi.
Ooh. When we're not recording, tell me what podcast that is so I don't listen to it.
It's a good one, though. I like the end of it, too, because they're like, goodbye.
Too much.
I don't mind at all. 92. Well, let's
92.
keep the tradition going here.
What a year 92 was.
No, we're doing 19s, not 18, right?
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
Well, that just ruins all of my...
I don't know anything that happened in 1892.
That takes away all of my number one movies of 1822.
Next time we circle episode 192, we'll do the 1800s.
All right, sounds good.
But 1992, the Mall of America opened in Bloomington,
gosh.
Minnesota. Have you ever been there?
I have not, but
I
you'd
have
think
not
they'd make the
either.
parking lot of America to go along with the Mall of America.
Well, I've never been. They might.
That's a quote from Drop Dead Gorgeous.
Oh.
Great movie.
See, I don't.
Good movie. I forced you to watch it. I need you to remember every word.
I didn't hate it, but I didn't love it.
You need to watch it 10 more times.
After seeing The Joker 2, I saw that last week, 2 weeks ago, whenever it came out. Feels like a century ago. My buddy asked me, he was like, what'd you think of it? And I said, I didn't hate it, but I didn't like it. And I feel like that describes a lot of things I've done lately.
This describes a lot of food people make for me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you watch Saturday Night Live?
No, I totally got off track that it had started, and it's like building up in my queue list to watch. But when I'm on YouTube, I'll watch the cold opening, and then I'll watch Weekend Update, and then I was like, I don't need to see the rest of them.
There is a really funny skit where Joe Biden is talking about, like, I don't understand. Like, seriously, people, there was this guy and he was great. And then they brought this woman in and nobody knows what she's all about. And everybody thinks they're talking about Kamala Harris and he's talking about Joker. Funny. That's one of the funnier episodes that they've had this season. I don't know that like Michael Keaton was great in the skits.
Oh, I didn't even know he hosted.
But there were some really funny ones. That was good. That was a good one.
Check it out.
So anyway, 1992. Tell us something.
1992. Pepsi started to test a little product in select markets known as Crystal Pepsi. Do you remember?
Oh my God!
Pepsi?
It was like clear Pepsi, right?
Yeah, it was a clear version of Pepsi, and for some reason,
it was crystal meth, right?
I remember this. Is people? I guess because it was clear, people thought it was like a healthier version of Pepsi. And I was like, I don't think that's what they're going for.
People are stupid. Not our listeners, but just people in general.
I mean, but if you thought that is a valid thing to think, and we don't think they're stupid. If they're listening, yeah, we don't want to put our viewers down.
Is it just because it's clear? It's all of a sudden.
Maybe they're thinking like it was it doesn't have that dark syrup in it, so maybe it's I don't know. Johnny Carson hosted his final Tonight Show episode. Yeah. Did you watch that?
I did.
Yeah, I remember.
Bette
watching
Midler
it
was
too.
on it. Yeah,
she closed it out, sang to him. Prince Charles and Princess Diana announced they were separating after 11 years of marriage. It's a shame those kids couldn't work that out. Whatever happened to them? I did when I was going through it, and I wish I would have done this for past episodes. I might do this for the other ones. I looked up the prices of some things.
Oh, fun!
And in 1992,
let me guess. You give me a product, and I'll guess.
In 1992, how much was a 20-ounce package of Oreo cookies?
And 92?
Yes.
$1.39.
Ooh, close. $1.59. How much was a gallon of milk?
A gallon of milk was $1.75.
$2.78.
I'm not good at this
You're
game.
in the early 80s. How much was a dozen of eggs?
A dozen eggs. Okay, I got this.
Yeah.
$2.28.
Ooh, 93 cents.
What?
Yeah, chickens were
I'm gonna
pumping
go.
out a lot of eggs in 92.
I'm gonna go with my instinct, and then I'm gonna like reverse
Yeah,
it.
just back
The
it up.
opposite of my instincts.
This is the most fascinating thing that I didn't know about 92. By the end of 1992, 1 million computers worldwide had internet access. And those computers had access to only 10 websites. There were only 10 websites on the World Wide Web in 1992. And only 1 million people in a world of almost, well, I guess back then probably not quite 6 billion. 6 billion people. I wrote the list down. I don't recognize any of them except for
You have all the
Ohio
people?
State University had a website.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So I'm gonna. When did I graduate? I graduated in '93. Okay, because I was like, when I went to college, I got on the internet for the first time, and I had email for the first time, and it was Pegasus email. And we got on the internet, and I just remember this guy sitting in the row of computers. He was getting live like update photos from. There was no streaming. There was no like video.
Yeah.
It was like the U.S. Open was happening, and there was a picture that was taken at the U.S. Open, and then he was downloading it, and we're watching it go.
And you got the whole picture by the next time the next
and
Open
and then he was like, "Can you believe this photo was taken 10 minutes ago at the U.S. Open, and we have it now?
It's the future."
It was there. The future was there.
I'll read through them real quick. You tell me if any of these sound familiar, but most of them are just like collection of letters. NICHEF, NIKHEF. I'm sure that stands for something. The National Center for Supercomputer Applications. FNAL, the Sun Site.
I feel like
State
you're about to like
University,
drop Kofifi or something.
IN2P3, HUJI, the Exploratorium, Young Monkey, and Simeon Press.
Internet's for nerds.
That was the 10 websites that you could access by the end of 1992.
Nerds.
I did find a couple of entertainment things I think that you would enjoy. Movies that came out in 1992.
You're going to steal my thunder on this because I was going to do 1992 quotes, but I think a lot of these are from movies.
Death Becomes Her came out. Bram Stoker's Dracula. Sister Act. And I think one of your all-time favorite movies, which you might have a quote there, so I'll let you go ahead and say it.
You Can't Handle the Truth.
Oh, no, that's not the movie I picked.
There's No Crying in Baseball.
Yes, A League of Their Own came out in 1992. But yes, A Few Good Men also came out in 1992. TV shows.
You just throw that away like that was just an okay movie.
No, it was
That's
good.
like the best movie. One of the best
there was like
movies.
153 movies that came out in 92. I couldn't read them
I
all.
know. Unforgiven. Blech.
TV shows, two of the greatest animated shows, because I was a kid in the 90s, Batman and X-Men premiered in 92. So did Mad About You, Barney for the youngins, Melrose Place, and The Golden Palace.
I was in love with Andrew Shue.
Oh, yeah.
Melrose Place. Poor Billy.
And The Golden Girls spin-off The Golden Palace.
That was a good show.
That was a good show. It only got one season. I think it's the first thing Don Cheadle ever did.
Did it only get one season?
Yeah.
I was really annoyed by Miles in that series.
Yeah.
Like, listen, man, you put her all through this witness protection crap, and then what? And then you're gonna cheat on her? Not cool.
No.
Not cool, man. Roses deserves way better. Here's a quote that's not related to a movie.
Yeah.
There's two. Did you know that these came out in 1992? I didn't inhale. Do you know who said that?
Is it Bill Clinton?
Yeah.
Yeah. Talking about weed.
And then this.
That's where we are now, voting for weed.
This, which is something that we've all heard, and I wish somebody would have told me this 9 years ago. Maybe I wouldn't have ended up in jail. Friends don't let friends drive drunk.
Oh, and no, it was a PSA commercial.
Yeah,
wasn't
U.S.
it?
Department of Transportation. It was a PSA.
Couple of songs and that were popular and albums. The Bodyguard soundtrack came out in 92, which also means the movie The Bodyguard came out. Achy Breaky Heart.
Man, I love that song.
That gripped America for a minute, didn't it?
For 1 minute.
Baby Got Back came out in 1992. For some reason, I thought Achy Breaky Heart came out a long time after Baby Got Back, but no, they came out the same year. And tied to one of your favorite movies. Also, one of the few, I think, Madonna songs that you absolutely love. This used to be my playground.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I did. You know what? Well, I'll say this about Madonna. If she sang a song in a movie, it is fantastic.
Yeah.
All
I'll
of
take
her
that one
sound.
step further. If she sang a song, it's fantastic.
I don't know. I hear music makes the people come together.
That it does.
You know, Time Magazine's Man of the Year was?
Wait a minute. What, 92? Bill Clinton?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. That makes sense.
Do you want to hear the scandals?
Other than the prince and the princess got a divorce, what was more scandalous than that?
Woody Allen left his long-term
That's
partner,
right.
Mia Farrow,
That was in
after
92.
she discovered his secret affair with her adopted daughter.
That was so scandalous.
Bam, bam, bam. All right.
Yeah.
Well, that was fun.
What a year.
What a year.
What a year.
Now that we've taken that trip down memory lane,
Yes.
let's fast forward to last week, this week. You know, we're recording this podcast early because you're going on vacation.
Yes, I am taking a much needed vacation.
Tell me what it's like when you get back.
Well, here's the funny thing, because I actually had a
Are you
vacation
sticking
plan. I hope
around?
my mom doesn't listen to this.
Oh no!
I had planned a
She's
vacation.
this is the one she's going to listen to.
And she had open heart surgery just about a month ago. So I canceled my vacation plans to go stay with her for the week just to check up on her and get some things done around the house. She's got a spare bedroom that it needs to be decluttered, and she wants to turn into a spare bedroom. So I'm going to help her clear that all out. We're going to get some furniture. But my plan was to fly up to New York on Monday for the what do they call it when you see a Broadway show, but it's like the first week of it?
Oh, previews.
Previews.
What are you going to see a preview of?
I was going to see the preview of the Death Becomes Her musical.
Oh,
then
that's going to be good.
That
Megan
was gonna be
Hilty's in
Monday,
it.
And then Tuesday was going to be The Outsiders.
Oh, I want to
Yeah.
see that too.
And then I was going to hang in New York. Oh, that reminds me. I was going to hang in New York with Chris, and we were going to spend Halloween in New York. But since I'm going to take care of my mother, we're not. However,
Have you ever been to New York for Halloween?
I have not.
It's fantastic.
That's what he
they
said.
like shut the village down and you just walk around
Yeah.
all over the place. And there's like a big parade and it's a lot of fun.
Now, in researching this and looking into what was going on, I did come across this article, which I found fascinating. I don't know how this is legal, but there is a New York nightclub called Zamboni. I don't know how long it's been there. I don't know if it was there maybe when you were there, but it's a New York nightclub called Zamboni.
I was a bar guy, not a
And-
nightclub guy.
And they are making headlines because they have officially banned anyone under the zodiac sign Aries, claiming that most fights start in their club by an Aries.
I dated an Aries who liked to fight a lot.
Yeah.
I'm not.
Chris is
I'm
an
just
Aries,
saying.
so I sent that to him, and he's like, "This is some bullshit."
What do? They check your driver's license?
I guess. The funny thing is, not only are Aries banned,
That's such a ridiculous thing,
am.
but it's kind of funny.
Geminis have to pay double the cover if they want to go in, and I'm a Gemini. So I
Oh,
was like,
is that because you're
we
rich?
instigate the fights.
Oh.
I guess. I don't know. I thought that was ridiculous.
Huh.
Yeah. So I messaged Chris and I said, if and when I go up there and we're going clubbing, you and I are going to Zamboni's. And when they refuse to let us in, we're suing them and we're going to own that club.
You're gonna start a fight.
We're
You're gonna prove their point.
going to start a bunch of fights. But I thought that was crazy. Obviously, all the stories I was reading about it says that I'm sure this will be fought in some court somewhere because that cannot be legal.
I find that fascinating.
So I'd like to know some of the stories, some of the fights that the Aries did. They were like, that's it. You're done, Aries. Get out.
That party monster guy, was he an Aries?
I don't know. I don't really know like the zodiac signs and whose was whose, but I mean, it sounds like he could have been.
What's his name? Do we know?
Macaulay
Michael.
Culkin.
Michael something.
We did. I don't know. We did
Party Monster.
We did Party Monster earlier this year, and now I can't remember. So
anyway, that's what you're doing next
yes.
week.
So this week, so we're recording early this week. So we've only got 3 days between the last podcast and this one. So
Which is why we spent a lot of time on 1992.
yes. But I did do a couple of things over the last 2 days. First, I went and voted. We early
good for
voted
you.
last night.
Did you get to tell us who you voted for?
Sure, I voted for Kamala
I'm going to give you a
Harris.
category and you
Okay.
tell me.
Okay.
County Commission. I'm just
The
kidding.
Democrat. actually, the
You don't have to say who you voted for
the
that.
county commissioner. I only know her first name. The district I'm in, it's Kelly something.
Oh, so you weren't in the controversial
no, I was not
one.
in the controversial one between Uribe
Maya
and Stewart.
Uribe and Linda
So
Stewart.
I did not have to. I didn't have to throw.
It's funny because that's the
one.
one. Like every queer organization is endorsing all of these
Yeah,
people,
they're like,
except in that one they're
no,
like,
no,
take a pick because they don't want to call
Well,
the
that
wrong
and
one.
supervisor of elections. The Orange County Democrats endorsed all four, and they said, any of them will do fine. But I voted for
Is that the one West Hodges? Yeah.
I voted West. And then I voted Democrat down the ballot. I voted for abortions and weed. Abortion, weed, and Kamala.
Here's my problem with the weed, right? Here's my problem with
my problem with the
My
weed.
problem with the weed is this. Look, I am perfectly fine for people to smoke whatever, whenever they want.
Yeah.
You're an adult. You make these decisions. That's fine. May I please ask you to not smoke it walking down the street next to me because I cannot stand the smell of it. Also, if you're just in a space, I don't want to get a contact high from it. And so that's my hesitation to say.
Well, I do believe that the way that it's written is that there are obviously stipulations. You can't walk down the street. You have to be stationary.
I don't know if you've ever been to a place where you can smoke weed legally. Nobody listens to that. It's wherever. It's and it just reeks. And I don't know. I'm gonna vote yes. So calm down.
Yeah.
But I just wish that it's something that people wouldn't make me have to participate in.
Yeah. Well, any pot smokers that you know, encourage them to vape their weed.
Isn't that bad for you?
I mean, it can't be worse than sucking hot smoke into your lungs.
Sucking hot smoke.
You
I
pick
like
your
it.
poisons. That's what you do. As I was telling Chris, because I used to be a smoker and I was thin, and then I stopped smoking and I got fat.
You should smoke
And
again.
I was telling him, I said, I think I'm going to take up smoking, and he was like, "Oh, that's such a nasty habit." And I says, I'm going to obviously die of a heart attack some way. I should die skinny with a heart attack instead of fat with a heart attack. So I did.
You heard it here, folks. Smoke and lose weight.
I'm just saying that I lost the first time I got fat and lost weight because I took up smoking. And then we had our UCF internship fair.
Oh,
We
that
went
was good.
Met with a bunch of journalism students and had a really good time. Some great prospects came out of that. Sent out a collection of emails telling them that.
Did my 3 favorite respond yet?
I haven't got a response from it. In the messages I said, I understand that this is a difficult decision to make. So take some time and let me know by
I understand
Monday.
that you're waiting to hear from the major news organizations.
Yeah. You're waiting for CNN to get back to you, but if they don't, come work with us, please.
We'll be your fallback. Listen, we'll be your fallback, and you'll have a great time here, and you'll learn a lot.
Yeah.
So, it was a really good experience.
And that's I got a new Lego set. I bought the Milky Way galaxy that hangs on the wall. So
That sounds enormous.
It's huge. Ironically, not as big as the world map.
Oh, I thought you say as the real Milky Way.
The world is much bigger than the galaxy, for some reason, in Lego's eyes. But it's I've been putting that together. So
You should talk to
it's only been
Pharrell
3
about
days,
that.
So that's what I will. Pharrell, if you're listening,
Why is this the case?
let's talk Lego. What did you do this week?
Well, in all of that busyness, and maybe still from Monday's recording, you had a hangover. No, I'm just kidding. And we're not able. You couldn't go to the Book of Mormon, which I went to Tuesday night.
Yes,
at
yes.
Dr. Phillips Performing Arts Center.
I don't want the viewers to think that I'm just lushing all over. It wasn't a hangover; it was allergies.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway,
That's what I used to tell my counselor too. I'm just kidding. I want to tell you this though.
Yeah.
A shout out to our lovely friends at the Dr. Phillips Performing Arts Center. We were in row F.
Oh, nice.
That dude could flip his head and his sweat would have hit us. It was so close. I loved it. When you're that close, you're just really a part of what's happening.
Yeah.
And you can really see their faces and what's going on. So that just made the experience all the better. Oh, an already great show. But really good. The show's just remarkable.
Yeah.
Here's the thing I want to say though. People get so upset over the song Hasadiga Ibawai.
Mm-hmm.
and if you've seen the show, you might understand why. But just you put it in context of the whole show. Everybody calm down. They're trying to tell you in the long run that that religion helps people and that it does really good, even though it might all be completely made up. It is helpful and useful, and it really saves this village. That's the point. So don't worry about the song. I just heard a guy complaining about the song on the way out. Well, I don't really care for that. Yeah. And it's like, well, put it in the context of the whole show. Anyway, I want to give a shout out to Diego Enrico, who played Elder Cunningham. He was so good. He actually changed my mind about this show because I watched the show. I've seen it like 4 or 5 times. Yeah. And I'm like, oh, this is a show about Elder Price wanting to do blah, 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 blah. No, it's about Elder Cunningham. He's the star of the show. It's about him. He's the one with the growth. He's the one. I thought he was so good in this. So kudos to you. There was something happened in the show that I've only ever seen happen in one other show. And that is, I was at the Maxwell C. King Center in Melbourne watching Les Mis. And this was a long time ago. So it was the Les Mis with the turntable and the set broke. The turntable stopped working, so they stopped the show. Well, something happened. We don't know exactly what happened, but something happened and they stopped the show for like 10, 15 minutes. Yeah. And the guy sitting next to Jen, who hasn't seen the show, looked over at us and he was like, is this just their way of doing intermission or is something wrong? And we were like, no, something's wrong. And he's like, oh, okay. Cause the show's kind of quirky. Like they were doing this song and then all of a sudden a voiceover came over and said, we're stopping the show. We're having technical difficulties. We'll be back with you. I don't know if it was a sound thing or a lighting thing or somebody got hurt backstage or something. I don't know. But when they came back, there was literally 1 more minute of the song, and then it was intermission. It was funny. They did go back to the beginning of that particular song, though, which just was cool because you got to see how great this cast is, and that it looked like it was the first time they were doing it, even though you had just seen it. So kudos to them. I think it was really good.
Nice. Yeah, it's I've seen the show quite a few times as well. It's my favorite Broadway show that I've ever seen.
Yeah,
I love it. But I am a huge nerd when it comes to South Park and everything those guys do. So it's a surprise to no one that it's my favorite musical.
And I like the fact that they make Jesus sound like Cartman. I know that that's a choice because it happens in every show.
Yeah.
And he's like, hey, I'm Jesus. So the only other thing I can talk about in the time that we've allotted ourselves here is I watched the CNN town hall with Kamala Harris last night. Did you watch that?
Yes, I did.
It did not restore my faith in humanity. It's just the weirdest thing to me, that people will. Here's a question that it bothered me a little bit. I thought she did a great job, by the way. I'll just say that. I thought she did great, but it bothered me that Anderson Cooper kept pressing her on this border wall thing. And like, well, you said it was stupid and now you're for it. No, Anderson, she's not for it. What she did is compromise on a bipartisan deal to make the border stronger. And if she still thinks the wall's a stupid idea, she's going to let it happen because it's going to make the other side happy to get the other things that we need, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, why you're trying to get her to say like, oh, it's not stupid anymore? No, it's still stupid. It's still ineffective. But, if it makes people happy, we're going to do it because we need these other things. So that was kind of bothering me a little bit about it. But here's the worst, right? You watched it?
Yeah.
Beth, you're killing me, Beth. I don't understand your. So here's Beth's question, right? On the day that we find out, or like within a couple of days of finding out, that the other candidate wants his generals to be like Hitler's generals, right? Beth says that she's a registered Democrat and she's leaning towards Harris, but she's not sure because of anti-Semitism. So you're not sure you're going to vote for Harris because of anti-Semitism? Like, she's married to a Jewish man, and she doesn't want Hitler's generals. What's the question? I just thought it was crazy. You got to be kidding me. Yeah. Anyway.
I mean, that's all tied into Israel-Palestine, obviously, and there's just, for some reason, there is no nuance with anyone these days. So it's either you're for or against it. It's like, if you want the war to end over there, then you're obviously supporting Palestine, and that makes you anti-Semitic. And that is where her question is based out of. Because the Republicans are, quote unquote, good for Jews, and Democrats are bad for Jews, because that's what Trump and the
because they
Republican
don't
Party
want
has
innocent
been.
people being bombed in Gaza.
And so they spew their rhetoric, and then you have to pick a side. You have to be all on one or all on the other.
Weird.
There is no.
And I really appreciated her answer about, like, you know, when I do town halls or I do things like this, and you ask me a question that I may not give you the answer you want to hear, because I may have to go back and talk to my team and learn more about it, and then say, hey, because that's what we do here. We're very collaborative here, and it works for us. So I just don't. Yeah, I don't get it.
I thought she did great. In her campaigning, it is I'm not going to call it a weak spot, but it is a weaker spot of her being able to think on her feet. She definitely does the kind of rambles a little bit, and then comes back afterwards and is like, hey, putting thought into this. This is what my thoughts are on this. So I think that's why it took her so long to do so many sit-down interviews, because I think she was trying to prepare herself for it, because there are politicians who are better on their feet than her. Yeah. But I don't think that that's a characteristic we should be voting on.
No, it's not a disqualifier, especially, and for people, and this is something I'll never understand, that say, oh, I don't know where she stands on anything. Well, I can tell you, I can recite what she's going to do, you know, with health insurance, with small business taxes, with the housing crisis, or like the how affordable housing and that kind of stuff. She says that every time she speaks into a microphone. So even if you didn't know all of that, you know what the other side is for. Yeah, and that to me, that's qualifying enough. But anyway, that's about as political as we're gonna get ever on this show. Just because we're, the next time we meet, we won't know who the.
Well, yeah, it'll be the day before.
Oh, the day before the election.
Oh, okay. The day before the election.
Well, I'll try not to preach at you about the election then when we get to that.
I would expect that the day before, by then, there are no undecided voters. You know who you're voting for. I doubt there are undecided voters now. You know who you're voting for. You just want to be on TV. Shut up.
Right. Like,
You're just like, I'm undecided. Can I sit in the front row?
The difference is so stark that there's just no way. You just don't want to tell people. Yeah. That's what somebody else said on one of the commentators afterwards said, I don't think there are undecided people. There are just people who are willing to tell you and people who are not.
Yeah. Agreed.
Anyway, speaking of things that I'm willing to talk about.
Yeah. You got 2 minutes.
No, I'm done.
Oh, we're moving on.
Yeah, we're gonna move on.
Oh, woo.
Yeah, we don't even need to.
Short weeks.
We are not even gonna carry these 2 minutes over.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's move on. What did we watch?
Well, I hate horror movies.
You sure do.
But you'll be listening to this maybe around Halloween, so we decided to talk about a scary movie.
Scary-ish.
Scary-ish.
I lumped this in with like Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Did you find Buffy scary?
No, this is it's slasher movie kind of.
Yeah.
It's demonic and murderous.
Yeah, Buffy hunts demons. Same thing. Now hers is TV violence. This is a little more violent, but it's the same kind of witty horror comedy kind of thing.
You say witty. Oh, sorry.
Shocking. I'm guessing you didn't like it.
It definitely had that, like, they do it with action movies too. Action and horror movies. It's like, oh, we're going to have these one-liners, and Megan Fox's character had these, like, one-liners here, and they were just awful. But it doesn't mean the movie was. It's just the one-liners were. So we watched Jennifer's Body.
Yes.
That's what that was what we were going to do. Now, we tried to work in Smile 2, maybe for next year. Or maybe later this year. Who knows? Maybe it'll be we'll do it like a Thanksgiving treat.
People smile at Thanksgiving. It'll work.
Right. And it's an uncomfortable smile because sometimes you're sitting around
Indeed. So we did Jennifer's Body. For those who don't know, came out in 2009. It is listed as a black comedy horror. It is directed by Karen Kusama and written by Diablo Cody, who won an Academy Award for writing Juno, which came out in 2008 or 7, I think.
So this came out after Juno.
Yeah. This was her movie that immediately followed Juno that she did. Do you want to explain your noise?
Oh.
You're just like,
Well, I just feel like
a thought there.
I just felt like maybe this one would have been like training wheels for a better one, but
you really hated the writing, didn't you?
I don't want to give anything away, but I'm not alone.
It stars Megan Fox, Amanda Seyfried, and has smaller roles by J.K. Simmons, Amy Sedaris, Adam Brody, and I guess you can call it a cameo. He wasn't a big star back then, but has a small cameo role by Chris Pratt.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things I really enjoyed about this movie was just kind of sitting around and saying, "Oh, is that?" My notes are like, "Is that Amy Sedaris? Is that Chris Pratt? Is that so-and-so?" That was cool.
So the movie starts out with the line, "Hell is a teenage girl," which is basically what this movie is.
No lies. You know what? It really starts out before. I think did it start showing things before, or to say the words first before? I don't know. But the first thing that you see is this girl picking a scab and eating her hair.
Yes.
And I was like, "Oh, this is gonna be fun."
Amanda Seyfried plays Needy, who is this little nerdy kind of girl who is best friends with Jennifer, who is played by Megan Fox.
And she's super popular.
And she's the popular girl.
They're Sandbox sisters. I like this concept. They were friends, and one got super popular, and one got super nerdy,
and they
stayed friends. Although I will say this,
or
needy.
more.
Only a needy person would allow people to call them needy. We gotta nip that right in the bud. The first person that calls you needy, no.
Yeah. Apparently it's short for Anita, but even in Anita, I don't hear needy. I hear needy, but not needy.
That's a terrible nickname.
It opens with Needy in a mental institution.
Yeah.
Or a prison-like mental institution. They don't really specify, but she's appears to have gone cray-cray and is in an orange jumpsuit.
Or she may have always been cray-cray. We don't know at this point.
We don't know. You don't know at this point.
She is pretty badass, though.
Yeah. Kicks a nurse in the teeth.
Across the room.
Kicks her over the table. Just beating the shit out of people. So it gets her thrown in solitary. And poor little Needy is sitting there in solitary. And she's like, well, it's just you and me, audience. I'll tell you how I got here.
Let's take a trip back.
So you get the flashback. Yes,
before you get to that thing, though, they show... Right? Don't they show Megan Fox, like when they do the pick and the scab thing? Then like Megan Fox is there.
Yeah, they don't really go into what it all is.
And this girl's in the window. That scared the piss out of me right off the bat.
Megan Fox laying in bed, and you see Amanda Seyfried's head pop up in her window
with like a little hoodie on,
and then it cuts to at the beginning of the story.
And I was like, this is how this movie's going to be. I hate it already.
So Jennifer is making Needy, I was going to say takes her to, but forces her. Says, hey, cancel your plans. You're coming with me to this club. Which is not really, I'll put it in air quotes because as Needy's boyfriend says, it's not a club. It's a dirty, gross, disgusting bar. There are no clubs in this town.
Do you know when she was kidding? I just wrote quotes down, so if I'm jumping the gun, just tell me to shut up for a minute. But like she's getting ready to go to this club or this bar, right?
Yeah.
Or that's where we are.
Yeah, they're getting ready to go to the club.
And her boyfriend is like making fun of the clothes she's wearing, and he says, I can almost see her front butt.
Your front butt, yes.
I've never heard that. It's so stupid.
I've heard people call like a fupa, the little front butt thing.
Yeah, but that's like what they usually put up for larger people, right? It's a derogatory thing to say about larger people. I've never heard somebody call it's called a front butt. It's funny.
So they go to the club, and this is where we see Chris Pratt's cameo. He is a
He says the bar sucks because everybody there has a mustache. The writing was really good in the beginning.
I was just gonna say you're laughing at the shitty writing a lot. So Chris Pratt plays a rookie cop, and he is dating Jennifer as much as one man can date Jennifer. She is a free spirit who goes where she wants.
Jennifer's body is dated by many people.
Yes, and it is her body, and she is free to do whatever she wants.
She can make this choice. Supreme Court, she can make this choice.
So the whole reason that they're going to this bar is Jennifer wants to see this amazing, awesome indie band called Low Shoulder. And Adam Brody, if y'all know, what was that show they were on? Entourage? Was Adam Brody on Entourage?
No, he
was on...
He has to be on some CW.
Show. Yeah.
Was he Gossip Girl? The original?
Maybe.
No.
I don't know. He was on something. I know he came from something. But he's the leader of the band, the head of the band. And he's talking with this other band member.
What was his name?
Adam Brody. About whether Jennifer is a virgin. Because they're not really letting on right now why, but they need a virgin.
The OC.
The OC.
He was the lesser of the cool kids in OC.
I never watched
the
OC,
did.
And that is why I didn't know. You can tell there's something going on with the band. They want to know if she's a virgin.
They have an eyeliner. You can tell there's something wrong with them.
They suck. That's a big tell that something's up because this band sucks. I
kind of like their songs.
Anyway, a fire starts in the club. It's a dive bar, so everything's like made of wood paneling, and it just fucking goes up.
It just seems to start from nothing.
Yeah. It just maybe it was the devil. So they get out of the burning building. And Jennifer seems to be in this trance almost, like just staring at the fire. And the band's like, oh, we're so glad you're able to get out. Here is our rickety van. Why don't you hop in? And she's like, okay.
That's a smart idea.
That's fun. So she does, and Needy's like, what are you doing? And she's like, don't be such a square, Needy.
Stop being so needy, Needy.
I know. It's, I'm going with the band. They're my favorite band. So she leaves with her, and Needy goes back to her house. And so she's there at the house, and then Jennifer shows up at the house. What are you laughing at?
I'm laughing.
Whenever you laugh, feel free to jump in.
Oh no! I know we're not there yet because like when she goes missing, like doesn't Needy goes to her boyfriend's house right away. And it's like she got into some van and blah blah blah, and Needy says, "Did you get the license plate of the van?" And she says, "I don't know, Chip, 85 rapist." Some good writing.
Yeah, so far good. So Jennifer ends up showing up at Needy's house. She's covered in blood. And she goes into the refrigerator and rips out a rotisserie chicken. Did Dylan watch this with you? Because I know how Dylan feels about meat on bones.
I watched it by myself.
Oh.
Aren't you proud of me?
I'm very proud of you. I mean, it wasn't that scary, but I was very proud of you.
Listen, all I saw watching her eat that chicken off the ground was 9 years ago at 3 a.m. Rick eating Taco Bell off the floor. Right?
I hope they scrubbed that floor for Megan Fox.
I related 100% to that
scene. She dropped
scene.
A whole rotisserie chicken on the ground and then just started ripping it apart and eating it. And then maybe they didn't clean the floor. And that's what led her to vomit all this black goo stuff.
Yeah.
With it was moving and it had like spikes or something in it. I don't know what was going on. It was mid 2000 CGI
cool.
kind of stuff.
And I mean, it was kind of cool, but it kind of made you think something was going on with that black vomit, and then they never address it ever again. It never happens again.
But it does happen later on. She does vomit again.
I may have taken a nap.
Could
I don't know if this is another quote.
Yeah.
This is where the writing starts to take a turn.
Sure.
And I don't know. I feel like Needy said this, and it's at this time, so maybe she said it to her kooky friend, when she's asking her if she was okay or something, and she says, "I'm not saying that to be a dill hole."
Dill. That was
Is
a
that
cool
a
word
thing
back then.
in
That was a thing.
2009?
You never said dill hole?
No.
Oh, yeah. I've heard it. But I used to
Maybe
hang out
I didn't say it because I
with
was
the
a dill
cool
hole.
kids.
The cool kids and the dill holes.
And the dill hole.
I'd
We
watch
didn't
that
hang with the
show.
Dill holes.
Cool kids and the dill holes.
So Jennifer ends up just like staring down Needy. I don't know if she was planning on kissing her or biting her, but Needy ends up pushing her away, and then she leaves. And we go to the next day, and Jennifer's fine. She's like, "Hey, what's up, girl?" Doesn't seem bothered at all by what happened last night.
She looks great too.
And she looks amazing.
All cleaned up.
I will say, because Needy makes mention that, there are parts of this movie where Jennifer looks amazing, but then she looks bad. But she never really looks bad. She just looks like she's sweaty and throwing up. But it's Megan Fox. So she still looks good. But she looks amazing this morning.
Oh, yeah.
And then they go into the class, and J.K. Simmons plays
Captain Hook.
Their one-handed teacher who's got this weird, fuzzy, curly, receding hairline.
Here's the thing about like filming something and editing it, and I'm not saying that to make fun of people with disabilities. It's just there is this character that with zero explanation, there's something out of the ordinary with them, and so it's just sort of like. It's not like, hey, this is our math teacher who is a war vet or did this thing and it has nothing to do with anything. And usually movies explain things, so it just seemed weird to me. That it was just out of nowhere.
That I didn't put any thought into it like that.
Well, I mean, like, people probably
don't.
Yeah, I mean, and it's also like, and then he's like this like 70s shaggy curly hair, which I don't know. I found his character fascinating.
Yeah, the whole movie is. I think it's designed to keep you on edge because even like the cutaways to the next scene have these weird like immediate abrupt blackouts. And everybody's other than Needy. Needy is, obviously a little frazzled with what's happening with Jennifer, but everyone around Needy just feels very almost in a dream. It's just everything is kind of off kilter a little bit, and I think that's on purpose in the movie, just to keep you uneasy. So the teacher is explaining, the tragedy of the fire, and he says, I wrote this down. Where did it go? I guess where he's talking about, everybody getting together and being one voice. Can I just say this movie reminded me a lot of, not of what happened at Pulse, but the days after Pulse with the media and everything. I was like, a lot of this seems, I've seen this before. But he said, put aside who's a cool dude and who's a hoe. And I was like, come on, you're a teacher. You can't say that. You can't be calling her a hoe.
Like I said, with the words dill hole, the writing seemed to go down. Although it does get redeemed in a minute.
Yeah. So everybody in the class is distraught about this fire. Everyone except for Jennifer, who is not bothered at all. One of the most distraught people is this gargantuan football player. Yes,
because
his best friend died in the fire. So he's out on the football field, and Jennifer approaches him, and his sorrow makes her horny.
And she says, I guess she gets off on hopelessness, right? So she's like, do you want Jennifer's body?
Hey, that's the name of the movie.
So she takes him into the woods and they start making out. And then this is where this weird thing happens. Then it turns into like, I don't know, all the Cinderella's animals.
The animals
they all gather around. Not to make a dress, but to just watch them do it.
To watch her do whatever she's going to do to him. She's unbuckling his pants, undoing her shirt, and you're like, oh, they're going to do it.
So.
And then her jaw unhinges and opens, and she's got like 9 rows of teeth.
That was cool. And I dug that.
And they cut away before you see exactly what she does, but you do learn later that she ate parts of him.
And this is where it redeems itself a little bit because he's screaming wailing, screaming.
Yes.
And then it cuts to the teacher. Then it cuts to the teacher who's getting in his car, and he's like, he sighs. He's like, "Oh, that's it, buddy. Let it out." Like he's getting murdered. He's not crying.
Now I don't remember I just wrote this line down while I was watching it. But Jennifer said this is the best day since Jesus invented the calendar. And I don't remember what that was a reference to, but I know I wrote down Needy replied, Jesus didn't invent the calendar. And I had to look that up and he didn't.
Oh, wow. I missed that.
I have a list of things
I may have been
Jesus
napping.
didn't invent. Do you want to hear it? No, I'm just kidding.
We got 12 minutes. Let's go. Here, list them. So then, I don't know if you noticed this. I just watched this show when I was a kid. So that guy's parents show up to claim the body because he's dead in the woods and eaten. That's like it's the assistant coach from the show Coach.
Yes, he is also the voice of Patrick in SpongeBob SquarePants.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah.
I did not know
notice
that. And that makes sense.
So obviously between the fire and the half-eaten high school jock, their town is national news now.
Yeah.
And something we learned, Low Shoulder, the band playing at the thing, wrote an unofficial anthem that has become the anthem of this tragedy.
Something about Through the Trees or something.
Yeah, and they became famous. Big hits.
Biggest
time. Band ever. They are
huge.
The Coldplay of their time.
They saved a town from a burning building.
With their music.
Well, they literally say, well, that's what people think. And they become like, they're bigger than One Direction.
Yeah. And to show how much they care about this community, they are donating 3% of the profits to the local families that were affected by this, which sends Needy off. And she's like, oh, 3%.
Yeah.
What are you doing with the other 97%?
I mean, you got to go at least 20.
Right?
At
3%.
least.
That's nothing. That's nothing. So Colin is this
Melissa
gentleman.
Etheridge wrote a song.
She did.
For Pulse, and I think 100%.
I think 100%. Low Shoulder could learn a thing from Lesbian Shoulder. Oh, I skipped over that in the beginning of it. I forgot this part.
You're gonna run right over that joke. That was
Lesbian
a good
Shoulder?
one. Yeah,
we'll pause.
Good job.
Thank you.
Hold for applause.
Hold. Thank you.
All right.
In the beginning, when Needy is watching Jennifer, because she cheerleads and she also does like flag spinning.
Yes.
The person behind Needy in the stands tells, because Needy is like, oh, that's my best friend, and she goes, God, are you guys lesbigay for each other?
Oh yeah,
and that cracked me up.
Yeah, that was a good one.
I was like, I've never heard that word before, lesbigay.
That was good.
I went back to begin my notes, and now I lost where I was at. Colin.
So now you get to goth.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Colin is the little goth boy.
Yeah,
and he's friends with Needy. And has I feel like they don't really address it, but I feel like he has a crush on her because he's like, flirting with her. And Needy's boyfriend comes up and is like, "Hey, Colin, it's my girl." Colin, Jennifer asks Colin out on a date. Says, let's go on a date. Which turns out to be because she's like, "Come over to my house." And we'll go on a date, but it turns out to be some like construction site house, like the house is halfway built, and she's got candles set up.
Yeah, come on, dude. Like, I get you're goth, but aren't you smart enough to know that she doesn't live there? No one lives in that neighborhood. Also, like, what is going on in this city that, like, a block away from everything nice and pretty and rich is like this desolate, abandoned town? It just makes no sense to me.
Yeah, so I'm how boys are. He's probably thinking with his junk, and he's like, you know what? This is a half-built house in the middle of nowhere.
She is hot,
but she is hot.
So he's all like, whatever.
So she goes in there, and there's candles lit, and he's like, hey, Jennifer, and I wrote this down because she said, you've been giving me a wetty all year, and I was like, gross. Gross.
Yeah. She's got a lot of lines like that.
Yeah. And then the next line, she's like, when he's taking his pants off, she says, nice hardware, ace. And I was like, that was funny. So, the same thing. She's they're getting hot and heavy. And we learn a little bit more about how she works because she ends up breaking his arm. and she's like telling him, give me more. She needs him frightened and hopeless.
Yes.
So it's like, okay, she's some sort of weird demon that she needs to feed off that fear. And then literally she feeds on him. She eats him.
Yum, yum.
So where were we? Needy is with her boyfriend, and it's cutting back and forth. They are having sex for the first time while Jennifer is eating Colin.
Yeah, and just, for the record, Hollywood, stop having people open condoms with their teeth.
Yeah, that's very dangerous.
It's just,
don't put that out there.
If you're smart enough to stop letting people smoke in movies, because like people are like, oh, that's cool. Like the kids are gonna say, oh, this is how. Maybe they didn't watch Heartstoppers and they don't know how to put a condom on a ginormous cucumber. So they're just like, oh, just rip it open with your teeth. Bad idea.
Yeah. So halfway through doing it, she's hallucinating. Needy is. She's seeing Jennifer, and she's seeing the dead jock. And she's just having like these flashes of anger and violence and demons. So she pushes Chip off of her and she's like, I gotta go. And he's like, but no, I didn't finish. And she's like, I gotta go. And she leaves and takes off and ends up hitting Jennifer with her car, who is roaming through the street, again, covered in blood. So Needy
Messy
goes home.
eater.
Messy eater. Goes home and gets in bed, and there's Jennifer in bed. Hot again.
Yeah.
Super hot, wearing one of Needy's t-shirts.
She's such a chameleon.
And she kisses her. And we get a full-on lesbian kiss. And the Needy kisses her back. And I was like, this is why this movie was said it has gay undertones. Because they full-on make out. And then Needy's like, no, what's going on? Stop that. So this is where she tells her, I think I didn't write this in my notes, but this is where she tells her what happened.
Yeah, I would say for in the girl on girl scene, who are into that.
Yeah,
this was hot.
It was hot. It's a hot kiss. It reminded me. You remember, Cruel Intentions? The Sarah Michelle Gellar and Selma Blair kiss. That's kind of hot.
Was there anyone in that movie other than Ryan Felipe?
Dead ass. So Jennifer, this is where you get the flashback and we find out what happened with Jennifer. So Low Shoulder drives her into the woods thinking she's a virgin. And they drag her out in the woods and they stab her to death because she is a sacrifice to Satan in exchange for them becoming rich and successful musicians.
Little did they know, she's not a virgin.
She is not.
And
so,
all hell breaks loose when you kill a non-virgin.
When you give as a sacrifice a non-virgin, a demon gets trapped in their body, and then that demon must feed on human beings. I did enjoy that while they were stabbing Jennifer to death, they were singing 8675309.
Oh, yeah.
Which I thought was a nice touch.
Yeah. Another indie band.
So that is when she woke up and came to Needy's house. And Needy's like, you're crazy, Jennifer. I need you to leave. And she goes, okay. And she just jumps out the bedroom window and disappears. So they have a funeral for Colin, and Needy's in the library. And I did appreciate them because they pointed this out. I'm a big Buffy fan. They pointed this out in Buffy. Needy is doing research in the school library. And later on, she's telling Chip about it. And she says, I was researching in our school's occult department. And he goes, why does our school have an occult department? Which I think is a valid question.
Do you know what schools don't? Florida schools.
Florida schools. And that's why we will never know how to stop someone like Jennifer.
That's what they came out with, the don't say occult bill.
Yeah.
Boom.
So we find out in Needy's research that Jennifer is a succubus. Do you know what a succubus is?
No, but it's fun to say.
It is, sure. Succubus is a female version of incubus. So there's a male version of it, but it is a demon that feeds through sex, lust, and fear.
There was a lot of those in Buffy. Every time they would say it, I would giggle and say succubus.
Succubi, I think, is the plural for more of them. So Chip tells Needy that he made reservations at the Cheesecake Factory. This was something else that reminded me a lot of Pulse, because we went to Cheesecake Factory that night because they're going to the school dance. And so he got tickets, and he's like, it's going to be a great party. And she says, no, we're breaking up. In her mind, she's thinking, to protect you from my succubus best friend, I must break up with you and you cannot go to the dance.
And then one of my favorite lines from the whole movie is Chip is distraught over the cancellation of this. And he says, I ordered your corsage. It's an orchid. It was like $12.
Hey, that's a lot of money for that kid.
I mean, his mom probably paid for it.
Oh, also, we should probably throw this in there. His mom was Amy Sedaris. Was it his mom or was it?
No, I think her mom.
Needy's mom.
Needy's mom was.
Amy Sedaris.
His mom is she was in Dead Like Me. I don't know if you saw that. That's a fantastic series, Showtime series with Mandy Patinkin, and it's about dead people that do good things.
Oh, I'll have to check it out. My voice cracked.
All right, we're getting to the wire.
Chips decides he's gonna go to the dance anyway. So his mom gives him pink pepper spray. It's lady pepper spray. And says, take this. And he's like, I don't need it, Mom. And this was one of my favorite lines. Take it because I don't know if you heard about Colin, but his body looked like lasagna with teeth when they found it. So she doesn't want him to end up like that. So heading to the dance, Chip runs into Jennifer while walking to the dance. And Jennifer...
And she takes him, of course, to the Death Mansion, which happens to be right next to where...
What was that, like abandoned gym or something? I'm not sure what it... Because there's a swimming pool in it. And it looked like an old YMCA or something.
I like a huge one, like a mansion.
Like a big... That's why I was thinking like
a pool house and a mansion
or something. It's some big abandoned house. And there's a pool there, and they go, and they're, she's telling her how she's always had a thing for Chip, and
then things get weird.
And then because Needy is at the school. And she's like, where's Jennifer? And then she's like, for some reason, maybe it's that whole intuition thing.
She's got a connection to Jennifer.
Yeah. And she's like, holy shit, Chip. And as she's getting ready to leave, they announce Low Shoulder is playing at the school dance, since that's the area that made them famous. And Needy goes to help Chip, goes to this old abandoned gym school thing. And she's thrown Chip into this gross, nasty swimming pool. It's like old water. And when Needy gets in there, Jennifer is taking a bite out of his shoulder, and she jumps in and pepper sprays her, and she's like, bitch. And then her response is she vomits on her. And that's where the vomit comes back.
It's a good way to get out of a bad situation.
Yeah, it really is. So Jennifer and Needy have a little argument. It's that kind of end of the movie art. You're supposed to be my friend. Well, you're a demon, and
you're eating my boyfriend.
You're eating people. So when it looks like Jennifer is about to eat Needy, Chip stabs her with like a broken, one of those pool skimmer nets that you use, one of the little broken poles. And she leaves, she dies. And
well, she runs home.
Oh, that's right.
She doesn't die. Chip dies.
Chip dies.
She
from
runs
his neck
home,
wound.
and this is where you're back at that scene where Needy's in the window with the hoodie on.
She jumps into the window, and they're fighting. And she pulls out a box cutter, and
do you know what this is for? To cut a box,
which is their vagina.
Yeah.
And then she rips off Jennifer's BFF necklace before stabbing her in the right tit, and she dies just as her mom
goes, "You
comes
stabbed
in.
my tit." No, I stabbed your heart. Boom, dead.
Yep.
Mom
sees her with the box cutter in her daughter's chest, and then she goes to prison. And we find out that because she had got bitten in the fight by Jennifer, and we find out that her power transfers in, some of the power transferred into Needy, who then breaks out of prison and in the credits of the movie murders the whole band in their hotel.
Good for her.
Room.
Redeemed Jennifer's body.
Saved the town from that Satan worshiping.
So how do you feel about the grapes? What are you graping this one?
I'll give it a 1.5.
You're so generous.
It's a good movie.
You know what? I didn't hate it. Is that our theme?
But
that's our theme. I didn't hate it, but I didn't love it. I mean, it wasn't like too super scary, and it was interesting enough. It was just really cheesy. Maybe that was the point. It would be a great Movies Out Loud October thing next year.
It definitely. I feel like that cheesiness vibe was definitely a part of it.
What do you think of Rotten Tomatoes?
I do know that this film has gotten more love later in life, but when it first came out, I know it didn't do very well. So I'm going to say critics gave it a 50% and audiences gave it a 55%.
46 and 35.
Ooh.
That seems about accurate to me.
Ooh.
That's accurate. Go with that Rotten Tomato decision when you're thinking about, what am I going to watch tonight? Just remember that.
Yeah.
But listen,
If
you're caught
you've
up on
got
your
Peacock,
stories.
It's free. Just watch
Yeah.
it.
Well, I mean, you're caught up on your stories. You got nothing else to do. You want to see a little, somebody who eats people.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
So then we decided
To finish up a show we started a few episodes ago.
Yeah, so we started a couple episodes ago. We started watching The English Teacher. So we're like, we'll watch the first 2 episodes and then we'll catch up with it when it's over. Well, it's ended, so we went back to watch it.
Yes, and just for a quick recap, it stars Brian Jordan Alvarez, who plays Evan. He is an English teacher at a high school. He is openly gay. His little group of friends are people who work at the school. His best friend Gwen, who's a fellow teacher. Grant is the principal of the high school. Marky is a conservative coach at the school, and
his PE teacher. Yeah,
they're friends, but he butts heads with Evan a lot. And then you've got Rick, who is the school counselor, and then Malcolm, who is Evan's ex-boyfriend, also a former teacher at the school. In the first episode, you learn that Malcolm quit the school or resigned because there was controversy between Evan and Malcolm kissing.
Because they kissed.
And Harry is a new teacher at the school who is also gay, who Evan thinks wants him.
Right, and Evan likes him too, but Evan is under strict rules not to date any
You will
coworker,
be fired if
or
you
he'll
date
be fired.
any more coworkers because you done fucked up Malcolm.
So episode 3 starts off at the gym, and Evan's working out at the gym, and it turns out that this hot new teacher is working out at the gym too.
Harry and Evan go to the same gym. What a
And
coincidence.
He gets to see his penis.
Yes, they're in the locker room. Harry takes off. We don't get to see his penis, unfortunately, but based on Evan's description, it's nice.
Yeah,
It's
real nice.
So Evan takes this as him being naked in the locker room and making eye contact.
Yeah, he
with
says
him.
he did it on purpose.
Yes.
And so, but he's kind of irritated because he likes the guy. So this is a quote from it, and I love it. He goes, he puts his horse cock in my face, and I'm not allowed to. And then his best friend Gwen pipes in with, suck it. And he's like, no, date him. Very well
I
done.
love Gwen. She's so
Yeah.
So obviously, as the rules of sitcoms dictate, when if Evan is trying to stay away from Harry, the storyline will dictate that Harry and Evan will have to work together.
Yes.
And Grant puts them both in charge of the homecoming committee, and they have to now work together to set up homecoming.
So they go to a dinner at a
Yes.
restaurant, which looks all datey, and they are
having drinks
discussing
and talking music.
the theme and music and all this. So the waiter, right? He has a reoccurring role after this.
Yes.
Is he one of the insta-gays from the other two? He's in something
He
we've
looked
watched.
so familiar. I didn't Google who he was, but
Yeah.
I'll look him up real quick. But he is from someone. I'm pretty sure I've seen him on TikTok or something.
Yeah.
So
anyway, they're at this dinner and they're trying to come up with a theme, and I'm sure this will be no surprise to you that they pick a song for the dance that I absolutely love. And it's funny because I'm old, so this all means something. Like I knew the song when it first came out, and but this teacher's like, oh, I heard this really old song that's kind of cool, and it's "Eternal Flame" by the Bangles, and I love it. So he starts playing it for Harry starts playing it for Evan, and they're like all snuggled up next to each other listening to it, and then all of a sudden burst in Malcolm, who is there to interrupt their little date time.
I don't see him. He's been on a lot. He does a lot of YouTube stuff. He has a YouTube. He's an influencer. That's what they call them. Anyway, so yes, Malcolm comes in, and the next scene is Evan's in bed with him. So you realize that even though they broke up, they're still as friends getting together and sleeping with each other. So in bed, and this is kind of a recurring joke throughout this episode. Evan tells Malcolm, I think Harry wants me. And it seems like everybody's response like, huh, you think so? Really? Grant, he says the same thing to Grant. And Grant's like, someone who looks like Harry does not want to date someone who looks like you. Which I thought was so mean. But it's true.
Yes.
Along with putting Homecoming together, there's a story where his students are dealing with a disease. I'll use air quotes.
Asymptomatic
Tourette's.
AT.
Which is also referred to as Kayla's syndrome, who is, or KS, because Kayla is the one who has it. And the whole student thing annoyed me because I was like, if that's how the students are these days, I'm so glad I'm not a teacher.
It just cracks me. It cracks me up because they're trying to navigate this, like, new world, like post-COVID teaching and trying not to get canceled or say the wrong thing, and so they're trying to accommodate everybody, and it's just kind of funny to watch this guy who's like this gay teacher who is supposed to be the most woke of them all, but is really the one who's like, I don't get any of this shit.
Yeah.
And then the conservative teacher comes in to observe the class and figures out what the real thing that's happening is. Because, of course, they think it's a made-up disease, and she's trying to get out of doing work. So it takes the conservative teacher to come in and realize that it's about these two friends having a power struggle over who's popular.
Yeah.
So it's funny.
So the episode ends with them going to Homecoming. Evan finally tells Harry why he's been acting so weird around him, and Harry confesses to Evan he has a boyfriend.
Yeah, it's like in this psychotic, we're not going to hook up kind of a thing. Like, I know you want to, and I know I want to, but it's not going to happen, and no one has said anything about this. So.
Yeah, so he's like, I have a boyfriend. So Evan freaks out and runs away. So Harry finds Evan to finish their chat, and Harry says that he has a boyfriend, but they have an open relationship, and then they kiss, and then Evan stops and he's like, this is what I was talking about. We can't do this. And Harry tells him, oh, you're crazy. I get it. And then it ends the episode. We go into episode 4.
Who plays Nick in this show?
Nick? Which one's Nick?
I don't know, but I'm just looking at it and...
Oh, Nick is Gwen's boyfriend.
Oh, okay. I was like, who's the hot guy in this show? And like, oh, it's Nick. Okay. That's right.
So we go into episode 4. The episode opens with Evan waking up with Malcolm. And what you're going to notice is a trend through this season where they're sleeping together, but Evan's like, this is the last time. And Malcolm's like, I don't know why you're so weird about this. And they go back and forth. And Evan's walking to his class, and he hears gunshots.
Right. It's dramatic. I keep kicking my camera.
So he goes into panic mode. He starts grabbing students and like pulling them into a classroom.
Yeah, it's like all dramatic, and it's this comedy thing. I thought we were watching The Bear for a second.
And one of the students tells her as he's pulling them in the classroom, she's like, is this the gay panic?
That was funny. But it turns out it's gun safety class club.
Marky has brought back gun club to the school. So that pisses Evan off. He's like, in today's day and age, with shooter drills and people shooting up schools, we do not need to be teaching kids how to use guns. The principal tells Evan that the only way that they would be able to stop doing gun club is if there was a credible threat.
So what does Evan do? He
creates a threat.
A threat.
To win.
Yeah, so he gives an assignment to the class, and he says, write out your deepest, darkest things of if you wanted to attack somebody, what it would look like as an assignment. So then he can take that assignment and say, look, here's a credible threat.
Yeah. So in response to that, they have to shut down gun club.
Right.
But the other flip side of that is now they want all of the teachers to learn how to shoot guns and to keep a gun in their classrooms. So now Evan needs to learn. Marky's going to teach him how to shoot a gun.
And of course, Evan's mad about this, but then Marky says probably the funniest line of the episodes. He says, come on now, you worked your whole life to be a power bottom. Now you get to be a power bottom with a gun. Good for you, Marky.
So Marky and Evan have their students on their side, and they have like counter protests, and they dress up like in white ghost sheets. I don't really understand what the protest was. I guess they were all ghosts. I don't know.
Yeah, because they were dead and they were ghosts.
Yeah, so it brings Evan and Marky into Grant's office, where Evan's response to the protest and the counter protest is to call Marky an idiot, which upsets Marky. So he leaves.
Evan forgets episode 1. You wouldn't have a job without Marky.
Yeah.
It should be nicer.
Also, don't call your coworkers idiots. Simple.
Right. Look, I work with a bunch of idiots, and I never call them that.
Not all the time.
Not anybody here.
He ends up apologizing to him, and they're out there. Marky's teaching them how to shoot a gun, and Evan is all kind of like, I'm going to shoot that target. And then the recoil, hurts his hand, but it awakens something in him. And
because he shows him that he hit the bullseye right in the middle of the head.
And he's like, yeah, I like this. And then he starts shooting, and then end the episode. We go into episode 5.
So this is an annual class trip,
yes.
Right? Which I've never been a part of something like this, and nor do I think I'd want to be. But the junior class goes on like a weekend camping trip every year. And so this is the premise of this.
Yeah. So apparently every year, Gwen and Evan, they have like a little campfire party.
They sing the
two
same
of
song.
them sing that You Get What You Give, by New Radicals from the late 90s, early 2000 time frame.
Never heard it.
You've never heard that song? You Only Get What You Give? Oh, you
I don't think
so.
so.
It's so good.
I didn't recognize it from them singing it.
So they're heading there, and there's just those storylines. They've done this with a couple of episodes where a student storyline and the teacher storylines run parallel. So there's these two best friend students who are fighting, which is paralleled by the fact that over the course of this episode, Evan and Gwen are going to start fighting.
Yeah, because Evan finds out before he gets on the bus that Gwen had everybody else over for a game night and not him.
Yes. Well, it turned into a game night, but she brought them over there because they were helping.
They're helping Nick build
the pool that he's building in the backyard
by hand himself.
They also meet Sharon, who is one of the parent chaperones, who is my
Sharon
favorite character.
Is delightful
in this entire series. She is obsessed with keeping the kids from playing sex games.
She's also obsessed with having sex with all of the teachers.
Yes, she also wants to sleep with all of the teachers. One of the games that she's trying to prevent the kids from playing is called tip licking. And it is where the boys all sit at the table and a girl climbs under and does something to one of the guys. And then you have to keep a straight face so they don't know who it's being done to.
I feel like you're only going into detail about this because you want to play this game.
And Evan's response to it, no one just wants the tip licked. So they're setting up the tents, and that you start to see at the fight between Evan and Gwen start. Excuse me. And that reaches its climax. The next day they're doing rope swings, or like the little, I don't know what the name of that is, but they're climbing across ropes like they're commandos or something. And there's they break out into this argument where Gwen feels like their friendship is just about hearing all of the issues that Evan has, and Evan feels like their relationship is just listening to Gwen bitch about her boyfriend. So they stop talking to each other. At the little campfire party thing at night where they're both supposed to sing the song, Evan is playing, Gwen won't sing at all. She's just making Evan sing. And she's like, I'm not gonna play. So she gets up and walks away. And Evan has to sing the song by himself.
Hey, she's not there to save him this time.
How embarrassing.
All on your own, kid.
Yeah.
But then sex teacher gets up, or sex mom gets up and save you. And she's all over him.
Yeah. But she sings the song too, so he didn't have to sing it by himself. Yeah. She just had to get groped a little bit. So Gwen is talking with Marky, but just venting about what's going on. And Marky had brought some nighttime goggles with him. And she's like, oh, let me try these on. She's like, oh, these are cool. So she's walking around them on. Something that was mentioned earlier in the episode that was just kind of a throwaway line, but that came back around, is Gwen has a latex allergy. And that, of course, is learned based on one of Sharon's conversations about condoms. And there's latex on the goggles.
So she goes into shock.
Yeah. And Evan has to run over and EpiPen her and saves her life.
Is this the point where like he's over her or something and he's yelling and and one of the students like says, "Why is your vein bulging out of your neck like that?"
Yes.
Did you see that?
Yes.
What was that? I thought that was from like Jennifer's Body or something. I was like, holy shit, that was.
He's just really getting into.
Because he's like, I don't know why it does that. I'm glad they put that in the show because it was weird.
So he saves her life and they make up. And it's like, I love you. And anytime I am having people over to do any kind of projects around the house, I will invite you. And she says, in fact, they're all coming over this weekend. And Evan says, no, thank you. And he says, I don't want to go. I just want to be invited. And I was like, I get that. I totally get that.
Yeah,
Just
that's an introvert thing,
I'm not
right?
Gonna go.
Introverts, they want to be invited, but they don't want to go.
So that's the end of that. I wrote this. This is the last line Sharon said. This is the last game that she's going to be investigating, that she heard the kids talking about on the bus, and it's called No Loads Refused Come Dump. And I don't know, she didn't explain what that means, but I was hoping they'd bring it up in a later episode.
I feel like I might be able to explain this game.
Go on. Episode 6.
So this is the episode where I realized that if there is a soundtrack to this series, I'm going to get it. The soundtrack is amazing.
Yeah, it's like great 80s and 90s hits.
This one they played throughout the whole thing. She Drives Me Crazy by the Fine Young Cannibals.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay. And that's not a song that I liked when it first came out, but I love it now. So yeah.
So the students are reading Red Badge of Courage. I don't know if you had to read that.
Well, they're supposed to read it.
Well, they're supposed to read it. I don't know if you were supposed to read it in high school. But it's one of those famous books that kids read in high school.
Except in Florida.
Except in Florida.
I'm sure it's banned.
Red badges. We know what that's code for. I don't know. None of the kids, Evan's reading all the reports. None of them read the book. So he ends up failing most of the class, if not all of them. I don't think that he failed all of them, but he failed most of the class.
90%.
90%.
Something like that.
Which the other teachers are like, wow, that's crazy. I can't believe you failed him. He's like, well, they didn't do the assignment, which led me to believe, did the other teachers just like, fuck it, we'll grade them on a curve? Is that what they do? That doesn't seem very, very good for the kids' education.
And move them along.
So the mom, Linda, who you'll remember from the Earth, she is the one
I do remember.
who got Malcolm fired and was going to trying to get Evan fired.
Lovely lady.
She has a child who is in Evan's class who got failed because he did not read Red Badge of Courage. So she wants to meet with Evan to talk about why he failed everybody. So him and Gwen go to her restaurant. She owns a restaurant.
Which is kind of like the restaurant from Fresh Off the Boat.
Yeah, but it's like cash only. You only pay cash. So they're sitting around talking, and she's blonde and country, and she's like one of those stereotypical conservative beauty queen. I hate everybody who's not me.
There was a series that she plays the Good Witch in Wicked in the original.
Yes, GCB.
Yeah, she reminds me of a character that would be in that.
That was such a great show.
Never watched it.
Oh my god, it was so. They canceled after one season, but it was so good. Sorry, I forgot where
that's okay. So it doesn't go her way at the restaurant. She's being all nice, and she's like, change the grades, and he's like, no, and she's like, okay, that's fine, we'll be friends, and then she leaves the table. But obviously, it's not fine with her, and she's going to take us to the next step.
So the next day, she shows up at his class with a teaching professional, a doctor, and they're going to grade him in his class to see if he's a competent teacher. So Evan's response is he goes and gets Gwen and Mark, and he's like, I want you to sit in the class and kind of like intimidate her kind of thing. So he's got his backup. And Rick joins them, who's in his giving his wisdom to some student. He's like, shit's about to go down. I got to be there. So it causes a big chaos, rigmarole in the classroom.
Good word.
So they have a parent meeting at the school, and the parents are all angry because Evan wouldn't let their stupid kids get away with writing their stupid assignments, which is just the parents were annoying me as much as the kids.
Well, and then they have that big that town hall thing, right?
Yeah.
And
parent
and
meeting,
it's so it doesn't make any sense to me. I just wrote down, this is so annoying. Just have the kids read the book and do the damn homework.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't understand. It's like how you feel about the musical Rent now. I'm like, I don't understand this anymore.
do it. Just
So
pay
that was
rent.
kind of annoying, but then, then it ended really well.
Yeah. I think this was kind of their way of this was their look at how parents used to side with the teachers, and they all side with their kids.
Yeah,
nowadays.
since COVID.
Yeah.
Which is weird because you would think that during COVID they all loved the teachers because they're like, this is hell.
Yeah. It's like, hey, I don't know how you put up with my freaking kids all day.
So ultimately,
really quick, who's at the meeting? Sharon's at the meeting, and she is
now
looking into reverse glory holes, which is a bigger issue than the students' grades.
I do like that Principal Grant was like, make a note of that. I got to find out what this is. What is a reverse glory hole?
I have no idea.
I need
wouldn't it
to
just
know.
Be a glory hole?
Right.
Huh. Maybe it's for women. We hear from.
Oh, that's right.
Yes.
Y'all can't hear her.
Caitlin said maybe it's interesting. I'm going to research. I'm going to share in this.
Okay.
I'm going to research it.
So now we're at the point where Evan's like, I just need to resolve all of this. Oh no, he's talking to Marky, and they're like, she took cash only, so you're gonna go to her house and get her on tape saying why she
wire, and there's a reason she only takes cash at her restaurant.
She's gotta be
She
cheating.
must be cooking the books.
Yeah.
So Evan gets
Cooking
there.
the steak nuggets and the books.
Steak nuggets
It
actually
sounds
sounds
good.
really good. I want to try them.
Deep fried steak nuggets. All right.
So Evan's trying to get her to confess some dirt, and they end up talking about her older son, who is the one who she blames Evan for making gay. And he's like, how are things with them? And she's like, we're getting along fine. And she goes, but she doesn't tell any of her friend circles about it because she knows that they're not going to respond well. And he goes, so you're living with a secret, and makes that analogy of now you know how we feel.
Great secret. Yeah.
So he gets in there a little bit, and she says, I'll tell you what they should have just done in the beginning, have the kids retake the assignment and give whatever grade's higher of the two, let them keep that grade. And then
We could have saved 22 minutes of our lives if they just did that.
And she said, by the way, keep that recording that you got going, and you can re-listen to that little speech you gave. So she knew she was being recorded the whole time. Episode 7.
Now we get into some really good shit. This starts getting really good.
It's funny because this was one of my least favorite episodes.
Oh my God,
I didn't care for 7. They go to a teaching conference in Dallas. Evan, Gwen, Grant, and Marky, and Rick.
Yeah, they clearly shut the school down so they can all go to this because all the teachers are there.
So while they're there, Evan and Gwen meet Mitch, who is this guy who they find out is interviewing to replace Marky. That Grant's is meeting with him at the conference. So they go to Grant's a room, and they're like, hey, listen, you can't, what are you doing? And he's like, you know what? I can't talk about it right now. He's giving a speech at the conference. So he's focused on the speech. And they're like, they're kind of worried that Marky's going to end up losing his job. So they tell Marky, and Marky says Grant wouldn't have the balls to fire him. The next day, they're listening to Grant's speech. He's going over it with them, and they're like, it's terrible.
Yeah,
it's
and this
awful.
is where they're eating, right?
Yeah.
And that one dude, the guidance counselor, is eating chicken piccata, and they're like, "Did you see that shit?" They're like, "I think it's raw," and he goes, "No, man, you need your chicken like your salmon," and it was like completely raw. It was so gross.
Yeah.
Ugh.
So they're telling Grant that his speech, you need to do this or do this. The jokes are bad, and he's like, I'm just gonna leave my speech how it is. So they're all like worried he's gonna embarrass himself. They're like, nobody's gonna laugh at his jokes. Evan had called Malcolm and told him to come to the conference so they can have sex again. Doesn't seem like a proper way to get over your relationship.
It does not.
But you do you, Evan. So Evan starts rethinking his career choice. He runs into an old college friend of his who's
really rich.
Who's rich, and he's working at the conference. And he's starting to rethink whether he wants to be a teacher. Yeah. He's like, things have changed. Everything's changed since COVID.
Yeah, and because this guy offers him a job. And he says, come work with me. He goes, what are you going to do, die poor? It's disgusting. So come work with us. We make a lot of money.
It sure is disgusting. I don't care for it. The next morning there's a brunch, and Evan goes to that brunch with the mindset, he didn't really say it, but with the mindset of, I'm going to make this career change.
Yeah.
And he gets there, and Rick is there with a couple of the other people, and they're making fun of him. And he just saw the kind of people that they are, and he's like, I don't want to be this.
Yeah.
He goes, I'm a teacher for a reason, because I'm not this. And to teach him a lesson, he steals a tray of shrimp and clams, and then they leave.
Yeah, and they leave. They go to listen to the speech that Principal Grant's going to get, and it's a hit. And they say, you know what? He knew his audience, and they're one big happy family. And then
he did use one line, because when he was talking with Evan earlier, Evan did in conversation, he used this line on Evan. Evan said, "You should conclude this in your speech." And he says, "Good people are good teachers." And he adds that into his speech.
Yeah. And then they go to tell, at the end of the episode, they're like, oh, we should probably tell Marky that he's getting fired. And Marky's like, I'm not getting fired. I threaten to quit every year.
Yeah, it's a thing that they do every year. Marky, just to feel appreciated, he tells Grant he's going to quit. Grant interviews someone as his replacement. He never replaces him. And then they have a good laugh with each other. And I was like, all right. Whatever floats your boat.
Whatever works. So then we get into episode 8.
The season finale.
I gotta tell you, this concept was hilarious. I laughed the entire show.
This was probably my favorite.
This is the best episode. Yeah.
So it starts off with a student coming up to Evan,
Jesus Christ,
and coming out. He's like, I'm gay, and I wanted to see if you would help me in coming out. And Evan said, I can't help you.
He's like, oh, God, no. You want to talk to somebody your own age.
Yeah. And he's like, just go out there and talk to any one of the dozen gay queer kids that
He's like, it's 2004. You're afraid to come out? Just go outside and tell everybody you're gay.
He goes, but don't talk to the non-specific queer kids who are probably just straight kids just doing it for clout. And he goes, don't tell anybody I said that. He goes, you want to find one of those, he does the limp wrist. You want to find one of those queenie gay guys to talk to. Don't tell anybody I said that.
Yeah.
And then sends him out to go find himself. But this episode, it's Evan's 30th birthday. And Malcolm has decided that he wants to take Evan out. And they're going to go to this leather daddy bar in town to celebrate.
Yes.
So they get to the bar. They go in, and it's a surprise party. Everyone from his little friend group has been invited to the gay leather bar.
The principal's there.
Grant's there. He's very uncomfortable because there's televisions playing gay porn everywhere. And I've been to bars like that.
So Evan keeps asking Principal Grant if he's okay. And he's like, I love it. He's like, I'm fine. And then a guy comes up behind him and touches him. And he's like, I'm a little uncomfortable. There's fisting on 3 separate TVs.
So he says, I'll stay for one drink and some wings. And Evan is like, oh, they don't have wings here. The only food they have, and he points to a bundt cake that's got like cream on it, and it's called a cum cake. And I was like, please, Grant, don't eat that.
Don't eat it. I'd rather eat the chicken piccata from episode 7.
So Marky runs into one of his old high school football mates. He was the quarterback of the football team, and realizes he came out as gay. So he's like, hey, I played football with a gay guy. And he's like, yeah, you did. And he discovered it when he was back in the locker room. Gwen broke up with her boyfriend. So she's getting drunk and being wild and crazy. And Rick wants to do poppers. That's kind of those are their missions for this episode. Rick is just gun-ho on doing poppers. Oh, and
Rick wins. He does all the poppers.
Harry is there, and him and Evan are getting, a little closer, and you realize that Evan kind of has things, still sparkles for Harry. Harry kind of still has feelings for Evan. So they go in the bathroom and they're talking, and it looks like they're about to kiss again, and then Grant walks in. So they leave the leave the bathroom, and Gwen goes up to the DJ to sing karaoke. The only problem is this is not a karaoke bar.
Doesn't stop her.
Doesn't stop her. So you do find out that Gwen did do some ketamine, and that is part of why she is acting the way she is. So Malcolm wrestles the microphone away from her and got up on stage and said he had something, a birthday present for Malcolm, or for Evan, and opened his jacket. He had written happy birthday and whipped cream on his chest. However, the jacket smeared it. So Harry gets up there and they sing a song to him, and Marky's telling him, that's your man. That you can feel the sparks. Go up there and get your man. So Evan goes up there and he stares them both down and kisses Malcolm.
Oh my God.
Marky's like, no, not that one, the other one.
I know. The other guy's so hot.
But I did write down here, if I was Evan, I would have picked Harry.
Yeah, I mean, I guess
you can't fight the feelings.
the heart wants what the heart wants.
Yeah. So the episode ends with
well, they do something. I just want to play this out. I know
Yeah.
we're sort of out of time here, but I just have to say, they go to a drive-through, like
Yes,
fast
after
food.
they leave the bar.
They leave the
Yeah.
bar. They go to this drive-through. I was so I don't know. I wouldn't say triggered by it, but that was my life.
Yeah.
Like that scene of drunk people in the car getting fast food. Oh my God, I have so many stories that of being in the drive-through that
Yeah.
crack me up, and I felt seen.
Yeah. So they take the food, they go to the drive-thru. Malcolm is not with them. Apparently, Malcolm went to go to an orgy, which Evan is cool with.
With the waiter from the
Yeah, because the waiter is at the bar. And he goes, you can't. What was it he said? Because that's what led Gwen to get back with her boyfriend. You got to let them be who they are. Or something
I
like
gotta
that.
let them be who they are.
So they go back to Gwen's house, and Gwen gets back with her boyfriend, which hurts Marky. He holds feeling he has a thing for Gwen. I don't know if we mentioned that. But so that's how it ends in the backyard.
Yeah, they're in the backyard and they're like,
Kissy,
"Oh,
kissy."
let's turn on the jets on the pool."
Oh, yeah,
and then
they finish the pool.
And then like the pool, like the jet is like raining on them, so it's like this dirty water, and they're making out, and the water's hitting them, and
Yeah.
it's dirty. And I told Jen, I was like, "Oh my God, they're making out in that dirty water." And this is what Jen said. Jen said he just came from an orgy, and I'm sure he didn't brush his teeth.
Oh,
I was like,
gross. She's right. She's
Totally right.
I'll just say that if my pick was Harry and Malcolm was like, I'm going to an orgy, there is no way I wouldn't have picked Harry.
I'd be
Although
like-
Harry has a boyfriend.
I'd be like, yeah,
So-
that's true.
I don't know.
What do
Maybe
you-
just find someone who's not Harry or Malcolm.
So what do you give this series?
I'll give it 2.5 grapes. I really enjoyed it.
I loved it. I'm gonna give it 3.
Yeah.
it's worth it. I mean, it definitely is. I mean, binge it. They're really short episodes. It's great. This last episode is hilarious, but you got to watch them all to appreciate the last
Yeah,
one.
it's really,
'cause
really
you
good.
really
I
get to
hope
know
they
the
do
characters.
pick it up for another season.
What do you think Rotten Tomatoes was?
I mean, this is on FX, and I feel like critics love anything FX puts out. I mean, they do have the bear. So I'm going to say critics gave it a 92, and audiences gave it an 88.
98 critics.
Ooh.
And then 86.
Oh, all right. All right.
And as of right now, there's no plans for a season 2. They just haven't renewed it yet.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that they're not going to. It just
I
hasn't
hope
been
they
done
do.
yet.
This is something that I would watch on a regular basis.
Great show.
Yeah,
I love
love
it.
it.
So it probably will only be the one season.
But we will be back not next week, the week after that.
Day before the
because I'm
election.
taking next week off. So if you haven't voted yet, get out and vote.
Go vote.
Don't be
Do.
stupid.
Do it.
Get out and vote. And then we'll be back here next time
To talk to you about something.
A dystopian future or a happy-go-lucky democratic society. But until then, the cork is back in the bottle.